You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Welcome back to Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about jiu-jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a blue belt who trains at Jocelyn MMA, located in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, Bryan Fontez.
Hey guys.
What's going on, sir?
Not much, my friend. Just a lot of jiu-jitsu today and lately in general. But yeah, man, I'm excited to have a chat with you. Thanks for the
Yeah,
invitation.
man. No problem, man. The pleasure is all mine. Well, let's get right into it. If you want to formally introduce yourself again, by all means, and let's hear about your jiu-jitsu journey.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Bryan Fontez, and I am a blue belt at Jocelyn's MMA in Hamilton. Hamilton is not too far from Toronto. It's about half an hour, 40-minute drive near Niagara Falls, kind of in between Toronto and Niagara Falls. And yeah, Jocelyn's is a really well-respected martial arts spot in the area, especially because the original owner, his name was Rick Jocelyn. He was he's a martial arts pioneer in Canada. He has black belt in lots of different types of karate and won like over 200 gold medals at competitions all over the world, especially Canada, over the last 40, 50 years. And then his son, Jeff, who is the current owner and instructor and our coach there, he followed in his father's footsteps and pretty much did the same, and ended up fighting in the UFC, and ended up fighting a lot of really big names. He fought John Fitch in a very close decision that he should have won, but ended up losing, and fought Josh Koscheck in the UFC, and had a fight with Chris Lytle he was supposed to have, I think. I think he might have fought Chris Lytle. But yeah, had some really good success, was doing really well, was doing amazing against a lot of top tier guys like John Fitch and Josh Koscheck, who ended up going on to fight for world titles against like GSP and the top two, top three guys. And then Jeff unfortunately had to stop because he had a medical condition that had to do with just, I guess, trauma to the brain. He could explain it better. But long story short, the doctor basically told him he was kind of, starting to have a hard time putting thoughts together and thinking. And the doctor basically told him, you can't take any more hits to the head, unfortunately. And he pretty much told him that he was done and he had to retire from MMA. So he stopped competing in mixed martial arts and kind of took over his father's school and started kind of recuperating. And then after about a year, he got into getting way better at jiu-jitsu. He was already a black belt and training jiu-jitsu, and now he's been, for the last, I'd say 15 years, been like full-on jiu-jitsu, gi and no gi, and building the team out and doing really, really well. And he's very, very good at jiu-jitsu and a great instructor and a great teacher. So that's his story. But I just find his story is great. So
yeah, awesome. It got to be rough to hear, hear those words that you have to retire from something you love so much.
Yeah, he did. He did 2 TED Talks that you can find online about it and about how martial arts has changed his life and stuff. And they're pretty inspiring. And, in both of them, but especially the first one, he got really emotional about it because when you do something that kind of like your entire life revolves around it and you're super passionate about it and it's a part of your identity and someone tells you can't do it anymore, it's really, that's heartbreaking. You know what I mean?
Very.
So yeah, it's like saying, hey, just maybe you should stop breathing. Don't breathe anymore. You're like, oh, okay.
I know, right? That's just as worse.
Yeah.
If someone tell me like, yeah, Lamar, you can't do jiu-jitsu anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you might as well put me in the dirt, cause
yeah, totally. As far as my story goes, to try to make a long story short, I'm 36 currently, and I started jujitsu. I started getting obsessed with mixed martial arts at the time, like UFC and Pride and everything when it was getting popular. And it was around 2005, 2006, I think, when I started really, really getting into it. And I loved fighters like Fedor and Shogun, and I was loving Pride and early UFC days. And when Matt Hughes and George St. Pierre were around and all those guys. And um, I didn't know what to do after high school. I didn't go to college, university. I was kind of doing music for the most part, and had a few other jobs. And I wanted to get in better shape and do a bunch of different things. So, um, and tried a bunch of different things exercise wise. So I ended up trying to train in MMA, and I started at one of the first like big MMA gyms around Toronto called Extreme Couture. It's basically Randy Couture's chain of gyms,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up doing no-gi jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, a whole bunch of different things, a little bit of everything, just everything that encompasses mixed martial arts. And we had really good trainers. Like our jiu-jitsu guy was, he's not. I don't think he's ranked top 10 anymore, but last year and the year before, he was killing it in the UFC in the light heavyweight division. His name was Misha Sirkunov, and he's from Latvia. Um,
Okay.
but he was raised here in Canada and was really, really good on the wrestling scene. And he's a huge guy, really intimidating, but really sweet guy. And he was our jiu-jitsu coach, and he was phenomenal, like some of the best jiu-jitsu I've ever seen. We also had Mark Bocek, who fought in the UFC, Mark Hominick, who fought Jose Aldo for the title at the Rogers Center or the Sky Dome, which is our biggest arena here in Toronto. And they were all our coaches, so it was a really cool experience. I was like
Mm.
21 or something, 20, 21, getting to train with these guys, and I ended up breaking my leg. I was sparring and starting to prepare myself to maybe do a fight. I was thinking about doing MMA, doing a cage fight, and I ended up snapping my leg, tibia, fibia, all the way through, exactly like Anderson Silva. So,
Ugh.
um, yeah, it sucked.
And Chris Weidman.
Yeah, and Chris Weidman, yeah, with which that was a weird, ironic connection, right?
I know, right?
Yeah, it's like
Wow.
the bad, it's like the bad luck transferred from one to the other. But yeah, it just kind of my leg wobbled and everything. Thankfully, I didn't try to
Ugh.
stand on it, so I didn't like do more damage. And the nice thing is, it was a clean break. Like it was like almost like a straight line through, so I didn't need any rods or any other stuff.
Okay.
So I basically I was like 182, 181 pounds in pretty damn good shape, getting close to it. And then I had a cast from my toe to like my almost just my groin with a slight bend in the knee, hard cast, and basically sat in my room, ate pizza like Jabba the Hutt, just like ate pizza and played like Halo 2 for 3 months. So I gained a lot of weight. I went up to, you're not going to believe this, 238 pounds. So
Wow.
I was, once the cast came off, I was tired of being that heavy and it wasn't healthy and I didn't like the feeling and I wanted to go back to training or at least being a normal weight. So I started running 10K every morning. Every morning I'd get up and I'd run 10 kilometers, which is about 6 miles in
Mm.
America. So, and ended up losing the weight that way, getting back down to about 200, which is reasonable. And 5 or 6 years went by, and I didn't go back to martial arts, even though I really wanted to. I just like mentally was kind of broken, couldn't kick properly anymore, was busy with other jobs and work. And then when I was about 28, 29, I was like, you know what? Screw this. Like I want to go back. I want to pick one. I want to do it well, and I want to do it formally because I love formal martial arts. Like I like the
Hmm.
idea of a gi and a code of honor and conduct and having respect. And I love all that stuff. I like the classic traditional stuff that comes with martial arts. That's why I'm a big believer that you have to have a good attitude and try to purge ego and all that kind of stuff and
Hmm.
improve as a person, not just physically and technically in martial arts and in jiu-jitsu.
For sure.
But long story short, yeah, I ended up deciding, you know what, I'm going to do jujitsu properly. I want to get my belt. I want to get properly trained and learn all the proper techniques. And I really like gi. I've always wanted to do it. So I bought a gi, put on the white belt, started from scratch again. Um, and then I ended up getting my blue belt, and went to a lot of different gyms. Some just did either close down or didn't work out because I was too busy or it didn't fit my schedule, or one gym didn't like, the professor wasn't the greatest person, so I ended up going to another gym, and now I'm at Jocelyn's, and it's been the best experience I've ever had. It's a really, really good group of guys who are super respectful, but we go really hard, but we also care about each other. And Jeff is the best coach I've ever had. He has the resume to be a jerk if he wanted to be. Like, his resume is
Mhm.
so good, he doesn't have to be nice. That's how I kind of put it to people, because I've met people who are like, they have a lot of ego and they do have a big resume and they kind of act that way, right?
Right.
And he doesn't. He's so humble, and it's like he's just another person, and he even is like constantly trying to learn and ask questions. And even lower belts, if there's a specific technique they're really good at, he's like, how did you do that, or what's that, what are you doing there? He's always trying to learn and pick their brain and stuff. And so um I'm in a position now where, like, I've been a white belt, I've been a blue belt. I've tried to compete as much as possible, especially lately. This year, I'm making a push to compete as much as I can. I've done one tournament, did decently well, and would like to do a bunch more while my weight is down and I'm feeling good. And as far as I know, talking to him, I think my purple belt is around the corner. So
Hey.
we'll see what happens. And yeah, I'm just looking to improve and get better and looking towards the future.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it just in like the few times I've talked to people, I'll have a conversation and then they come on the show like, oh yeah, matter of fact, I'll be testing for XYZ very very soon.
Hmm.
So I always get excited to hear someone's promotion because I just recently, well, I got my brown belt like at the back in October.
I saw that.
And
Congrats.
yeah, thank you. And
Hmm.
it's still unbelievable, because I've been doing it for like coming up on 6 years, and just the journey from yeah, that tying, awkwardly tying your belt for the first time to being like getting your blue belt, and then responsibilities came after that, and then blue, purple, and brown. I've been assistant instructor,
Hmm.
and just recently I got my first stripe on my brown belt, and I'm like, okay, and then I'm like, shit, it's getting close.
And I saw your kids and your wife did too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think yeah, my wife got her fourth stripe on her white belt, and my daughter got her
Nice.
third, something like that. So yeah, so
Nice.
yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Congrats.
we
It's
all
good for
trained.
them. That's great that you got the whole family going. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was easy, but it wasn't like you like, because my wife, she used to like, she started maybe uh maybe like a half a year after I did, but we ended up having our second child and then COVID. So she's
Mm.
been like off the mat. So she's just finally getting back into it. And she's like, I should have just asked him to take my stripes off my belt. I'm like, why? You still earned them. She's like, but I haven't been training for so long. I'm like, you're fine. Like,
She's still, but
once
you
you
could
get
tell
back
her.
into it,
Yeah, you
you
can
said
tell her you
what?
still have like a lot of the basics, like more so than a brand new person. At least you know what it feels
Yeah.
like to roll, right?
Yeah.
So,
She just hard on herself about it, but
right.
she'll get over it
You know
eventually.
what's funny? Our gym doesn't. I don't know why he does them for the kids, but Jeff doesn't even do stripes anymore. I think he used to, and he got rid of it. He doesn't even
Mhm.
do stripes. He just goes like, if you look at our gym, nobody's got stripes. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw that on one of a few of the pictures. I'm like, this is just belts. It's like you
Yeah, we
can't
don't.
tell
He
like
doesn't
who's
do
this.
stripes. He just goes straight to the next level. So just levels
Yeah,
up.
I mean, you hear that in a few schools in some of the jujitsu groups that I'm in. Um, People who don't believe in stripes,
Mm.
like whatever. It's like you blue to purple, not degrees. So
Hmm.
yeah,
I don't have anything against stripes, to be honest. Like I
no,
don't think it's anything. I think it's a great little motivator, and I think it is a. Um, I mean, it's been around forever, right? They had them in a lot of the other Japanese and Chinese martial arts and stuff like that. So,
mhm,
um, yeah, I have nothing against stripes. I just kind of go with the whim of whatever the coach does, right? So in this
yeah,
case, they don't do stripes, um, but yeah, I have nothing against stripes. The only time I had anything against it was I was at Gracie Baja for a while, for like
Mm-hmm.
a year and a half, and a year and a half. It's where I got my blue belt. But so the one thing that I don't like about Gracie Baja's system is stripes are awarded by attendance. So
Mm.
you basically they stamp a card every time that you've attended a class, and then
Mm-hmm.
the professor ends up looking at the card and seeing how many classes you've attended, and that's how stripes are delegated and given out. The belts are not. The belts are given out when he feels you're ready, but
Mm-hmm.
the stripes are. So that's one thing that I don't love. I mean, to an extent, it's good because you're attending a lot of classes, so you should be learning. But I don't know. It's weird, I guess.
Yeah, that's very, very weird.
Hmm.
And
That's
like,
standard
I
across all Gracie Bajas apparently too. So
really. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
as far
So
as I know.
no, it's our instructor. He stripes us when he feels like that we're ready. Um, it doesn't change from belt to belt. If you're showing up to class, if you're participating, if you're, showing that you're trying to improve, that you're putting in the work, you get recognized for it. But you
Mm-hmm.
just don't show up and be like, man, I ain't getting no stripe yet. Like, okay,
Yeah,
well, show me what you know, and if you don't know nothing, you don't get nothing.
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
So
totally agree. Definitely.
for sure. So so you do compete. So how many times have you competed so far as a blue belt?
Um, Once this year was my
Oh, just
first
just one.
year,
Okay.
and I actually sorry, twice. Last year was my first year. I did the Canadian National Jiu-Jitsu Championships, and
Mm-hmm.
I it was my first time competing at blue. I was super nervous, and I won gold, which like I was shocked. I was really surprised. I believe in my skills, but like I wasn't sure how I would do, and I was super nervous, and I always have been.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff really helped me a lot with the mental, with preparing. I asked him, I'm like, MMA fights must be even more nerve wracking than a jiu-jitsu match. Like, how did you prepare? Like, what do you do mentally to get ready and get rid of like the fear and the nerves and everything? And he gave me a lot of really good tips. He said, you should be sweating at least a little bit before you get on the mats. And he said your best rolls are usually not round 1 and 2 when you're at the gym doing rounds. Usually it's like 3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're looser and you're warm and your muscles are moving and your brain is in jiu-jitsu mode. And he basically said, warm up, stretch out, get warm, keep your sweater on, get a little bit of a sweat going, get some heat going internally. And he said, relax, listen, do whatever you need to do to relax, and try to clear your mind and purge all thoughts, and not focus too much on one thing or another. And so like listen to relaxing music. So like for me, I don't know why, but like when I'm just kind of like in a trance and I'm just kind of like focusing on something or like trying to get stuff done, I love listening to lo-fi hip hop. I don't know if you know,
Oh
have you ever heard it?
yeah.
I
Oh
love lo-fi hip
yeah.
hop, just like that beautiful kind of jazzy piano with like a lo-fi hip hop beat in the background. I love that stuff. So I was just listening to that and just like being super calm and serene and relaxed while I was just trying to like stretch and get a little bit of a sweat on and stuff. And that just put me in the perfect state of mind so that when I jumped on the mat and I was ready to go, I was warm and everything and good to go. And then I tried not to think. And that was another big thing that just to kind of segue into today. Today we had a huge seminar at
Mm-hmm.
Jocelyn's. We had two world class guys come in. And it was John Thomas, who you might have seen some of his videos on YouTube. If you haven't, go look them up. He's a world famous, YouTube and jiu-jitsu instructor, but he also won worlds at Purple and Brown, I think.
Okay.
And he's really, really good. He had some really cool stuff to show us. And then Espen Mathisen, he's from Norway, and he is the current IBJJF European champion. He just won, and he's a really good competitor as well. And they both had really cool stuff to show us. But what I was getting at was what was the thing that I mentioned before? the segue thing. I was just talking about something. I just
You
lost
was talking about staying calm and relaxed.
Yeah, staying calm and relaxed. Oh yeah, this is what it was. They said one of the biggest things is John Thomas was saying a lot of really good philosophies I'm going to share with you are just kind of like yeah, just general ideas as opposed. He showed us some specific really cool stuff. Like he showed us like a double sleeve guard that was really effective and everything. But he also kind of just said uh, generally. Um, when you're competing with someone, especially like in a competition in like a full blown tournament, you don't want to like game plan. You don't want to full out game plan and think like I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, and if he does this, I'm going to do that, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what they're going to present you with problem wise, and so he said as cliche and cheesy as it is, like go with the flow and stay flowy and just kind of like prepare for anything and be observational and reactive based on what they're presenting you with. So like you go for their collar, they pull the collar off, but now their sleeve is there, so grab the sleeve. Like you just kind of go with whatever is being given to you at the time and don't overthink it and just do your game. But he said, which I agree with, like thinking about specific sequence of moves that you're going to hit is probably not the best idea, because that's like doing it in chess. In chess, like he used chess as an example. You could try to think 34 moves ahead, but like at the beginning of the game, there's like an infinite amount of moves you can do. There's like thousands of permutations and possible combinations of moves. So you just have to do you and play your game. So
yeah.
But yeah, sorry. To get to that,
No, you good.
the other tournament was, I had a tournament about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was Next Gen Niagara, and I did the gi and no gi, and I've never actually competed in no gi before. I train in it all the time, but I never competed in no gi, and I wanted to try it, and I felt in good shape and stuff. So I'm like, fuck it, let's do both. And so I didn't get gold. I silvered in gi and I silvered in no gi, and I mean I'm disappointed because I wanted to get gold, and I feel like I could have, because the finals, the matches I lost by a few points. It was like I didn't get submitted, I didn't get dominated. It was just like I just made like 1 or 2 dumb mistakes early, and then I knew exactly what I did wrong, and then I couldn't make the points back in the time that I had left. So just stuff to work on. I knew what I did wrong, but the other matches I did well, and got 2 subs, and I can't complain. Silver is not a bad thing. I shouldn't be disappointed or anything. So just live and learn and move on to the next one.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff to touch on what you were saying. Yeah, just I try to go in with a clear mindset, because I know how my mind works, especially with training. I was like, I don't want that clouded judgment when I compete. So I've only done 2 tournaments, one at purple and one at brown.
Nice.
Yeah, so my third one will be in April. April 1st, which would be Grappling Industries. And yeah, I plan on doing gi and no gi. Like, just like you, I love training no gi. I love, rolling no gi. I've never competed in no gi. So this is going to be something new.
Yeah. So are you going to be doing a no gi competition soon? You're going to do this one at Grappling Industries?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
The plan
When
is
is
to
that?
do gi and no gi grappling. It's in Wayne, Michigan.
Nice.
So not too far from the
when is it?
airport. April 1st.
Nice.
The first Saturday, the first Saturday. So
nice.
I was like, ooh, let me get to it. So I've been trying to, go a little extra hard in the gym.
Good.
And just
doing extra
mentally prepare, man. Like mentally prepare for it, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
A lot of
really
rolling.
Cool. What do you prefer, gi or no gi? And why? I'm just curious.
I'm kind of in a mix, because our school is predominantly gi. We'll sprinkle in like a no gi class every once in a while, but when I got to like brown belt, I don't know, it was just something about like rolling no gi just felt better to me for some odd reason. And it's a little bit more technical, because I can't necessarily hold on to my opponent by like, collar grips or sleeve grips or or gi grips, or rather, those are out the window. And
Mm-hmm.
plus, from training so much and like going to the gym, you use your hands a lot. So like my forearms was just burned from working out. So I was like, okay, I need to find a way to save my fingers. So once we started doing open mats, I'm like, y'all want to roll no gi? And they was like, yeah, sure. So every open mat after that just been strictly no gi. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to continue doing this straight no gi. Have my classes as gi, but I use no gi to really practice my grips, like wrist grip, behind the arm, behind the neck, so that I can save my fingers
Nice.
because shit hurts
Yeah, yeah.
after a while, because we get those days where we don't even do a class, we're just hard rolling for the whole, the whole class, and after a while, your fingers get all mangled and arms hurt. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's funny you say it's technical, more technical, but I just find it to be technical in a totally different way. I
Mm-hmm.
I find the gi to be more technical overall because you can do all the same things, but now you've got the grips. You've got
Yeah.
all the grips involved. I just
Mm-hmm.
find I find no gi to be more way more wrestling, number one, and
Mm-hmm.
like wrestling positioning, like underhooks, things like that. Uh, and I find it to be way more athletic and faster
Yeah.
because it's so slippery. Like when you start sweating and you're doing no gi and you've got two like athletic guys, like it becomes about like speed and explosivity and but you do because you don't have the gi right to kind of like, for example, just say you're like inside control and you want to like really crush the shoulder and the face and stuff, you can make it even worse by grabbing like getting a cross face, grabbing the other side of the gi and really shoving the shoulder in.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
like no gi, it's a little bit more slippery and it's like you have to place your weight more technically, like more
Mm-hmm.
perfect. So yeah, no gi's different that way, but it's also fun too. Like I get why some guys, I prefer gi. I really love the technicality and the formality of gi, like how
Mm-hmm.
formal it is, and I do prefer gi, but I can see why some guys prefer no gi. I do have a bunch of friends who they don't even do the gi anymore. They're just like, I don't like the pajamas. So that's what they say. And I get it. I understand because there is like a flowiness to the no gi that like it's there's a more movement. It's slippery. You move around. It's athletic. It's fast, and a lot of wrestling involved. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the technicality of the gi, and I like the funny positions you end up in. I like barambolos and all sorts of really cool gi moves and techniques, and I love lapel chokes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, no, like gi jujitsu will always be my first love. That I will always prefer gi, but sometimes you want to live on a dark side a little bit. So
Yeah,
I'll
a little
do
dark
no
side.
gi every now and then
Nice.
to kind of you know just be just to get that good cardio because yeah, like you said, you have to be athletic, you have to be a
Mhm.
little bit quick, and you kind of have to do it before everyone gets sweaty because you won't be able to lock up nothing if you sliding all over the place because it
Yeah,
gets that way.
yeah.
It gets that
There
way very,
was
very quick.
there was there's a guy that we have at our gym. He cross trains at a lot of other gyms, but he his home base is Jocelyn's. His name
Mhm.
is Amr Ghanem, and he's a world class competitor. He won Canadian nationals, and he's really good. He's pretty much a full time jiu-jitsu competitor.
Mhm.
And he's a brown belt. I was rolling with him the other day. There weren't a lot of guys around, so him and I just did like 6 rounds straight. And he whooped me, but I just try to like make him work. I just at least try to be a good opponent to like give him a good workout. You know what I mean? Like at least be
Yeah.
um, you know, a good workout. And long story short, it was gross because he sweats so much. He has like a severe, I swear to God, he has like a hyperhidrosis sweating problem, and it's just we're
Ah.
slipping everywhere. But this is gross. So catch this. He steps over, gets mount, okay, and then he has a low mount, so he's really low, pushing the hips in, and then he starts like he grabs my head, okay, and he starts pushing, and then he goes for the smother, okay, so he
Uh-huh.
shoves my face right into his chest, okay, and so I can't breathe very well, but I know that all I need to do is just get like a little bit of air, like a little bit of a centimeter, right? So I can just a little bit of air,
Uh-huh.
right? So I just try to get my hands real tight up, my frames in, and I just try to get a little bit of space and just kind of push on his hips a little bit, and then I turn my face, and then when I went to turn my face, he like shoves his arm around my head for like kind of a cross face, but also just to control my head and my spine while he has
Uh-huh.
mount and chest. And I literally put my mouth in his armpit, and I was dying for air, so I was just like, just like, I swear to God, dude, I have never ingested so much salt in one sitting in my life. It was vile. I was like, it was gross.
Oh God.
I'm not exaggerating. I took like 2 chugs of his armpit sweat. It was we were both just fucking crying laughing. It was hilarious. It was nasty. Yeah. I couldn't get over it. I'm just like, man, that was so disgusting. I had to like just chug water to get the salt out of my mouth. It was
Oh
gross.
God.
Anyway,
It comes with the territory.
yeah. So, yeah, shit happens in jiu-jitsu sometimes. It's funny.
Man, that's like one guy, one of our guys we train with. He's a purple belt, very very technical guy, and we're rolling, and he's in my guard, so I go, I reach around, it's like kind of like chin strap, and he turns his hand and his whole mouth just like went across my hand, and it was just like his spit, it was just slimy. I'm like, oh my God,
Drooled all over
dude.
you.
It's drooled all over me, and we're just like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, it's just everywhere.
It happens,
But
man. I mean, like, it's
it
just our
happens,
human
right?
bodies. We're throwing each other around like rag dolls. Like, stuff happens. You throw up, you sneeze, you fart, whatever it is, man. Like, stuff happens. So,
Just gotta rock it out, man. Just live with it, right?
that's it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I didn't
totally.
cause so much like sweat and hair and
Yeah.
everything is like.
It was bad too. I had long hair for a long time. Like, my hair was like a year ago. My hair was like down to my shoulders,
Uh-huh.
and I've had long hair and short hair a million times. I just kind of like would during COVID. I had cut it before COVID, and then during the pandemic, because everything was shut down, I'm just like, well, I just won't cut my hair, and then I grew it back. And
Mhm.
then when I went to jujitsu, back to jujitsu. I had long hair, and it just sucks. Like, having long hair when you would know probably, right? You probably tie it up and stuff, but my
Yeah.
hair even tied up. I should have probably more worn what you did. You probably wear like the headband kind of bandana type thing, right?
I try to, but it slides off and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. See, I would just put it in a ponytail, and then it comes out, and I have to put it up every round in between, and sometimes during rounds. And then on top of it, like, guys would post on my hair, like they put a hand down or a foot down, and
Yeah.
I can't move because they're on my hair, or they go to grab like, I don't know, let's just like a bow and arrow, or they just like grab my collar for a takedown, and they just get a handful of hair and they're ripping it out, and it's just
Yeah.
so annoying. I'm like, that's it, fuck it, I'm just cutting my hair, and it's just so much easier, man. So I'm
I
not
know,
trying to
right?
convince you. Keep the locks; they look beautiful. But
Oh
you know
no,
what I mean?
I've been debating so much because
Mm.
we'll be in the middle of a roll and my cap comes off and I get stuck and I'm trying to like snake out, but my hair is stuck under their arm. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
All right, come
I
on.
know, right? Yeah, yeah. Wait.
Right. Let me fix my dude.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's funny.
They always crack a joke because like me and another guy, Scott, he has long hair too. So we're like, we want to roll. We put up in the ponytail. It's like, oh, ponytail's coming out. It's getting serious.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I hate it, man. It's like I love my hair, and it's like I don't want to cut it, but at the same time, it's like it's so in the way.
It is annoying, man.
Because
Yeah,
like you try to put on a headband, you try to put on a cap, but you start sweating
yeah.
and you tussling, and it just slips off, and now it's just.
I'm not gonna lie, brother. Like, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not selling anybody on anything, but it's freeing. Like, I'm like, just think about how stress-free and little maintenance and work, and even just like mentally not having to think about it even one time.
Oh, I know.
Imagine doing like 7, 8 rounds of rolling, and you never have to think about your hair even one time. Like it's just
I know.
like it's pretty liberating, So
It's a raging battle in my mind. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
should I
But it is
cut it?
nice.
Is
Nice to
it?
have long hair too, right? It's fun.
Yeah,
It looks good. Yeah,
when you,
it's cool. It's different.
because like when you're moving, it's just like your hair move with it, just adds more dynamic to the role.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. I should have let it grow longer and just started wrapping it around people's necks and stuff. As you should do.
Would that be legal?
Yeah, I
It
know,
is a
probably
part
not.
of you.
That
It is a part of you.
it's
So I
true.
mean, because
Can't
in
do
a
it with your
sense
belt,
you
but maybe with
can,
your hair. Yeah.
yeah, because you can choke people with your belt.
Can you?
Yeah,
Are you sure? I don't think you can use your belt.
you can use your belt only if it comes off during a roll.
What? That's
Yeah,
news to me. I gotta
you
look that
can't
up.
be in the middle of the road taking your belt off and just
Yeah, you just kill
strangling
it.
people.
Like
Yeah, just
lasso him. Just hog tie him. Yeah.
just lasso them up real quick. But no, if it
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
off, you can use
Yeehaw!
it. I know,
Yeah,
right?
that's funny. No, I didn't know that, man. That's news to me. I gotta look that up.
Yeah,
I'm not
like
saying I don't believe
my
you, but that blows my mind. I didn't know that.
yeah, I was like, what? You can what? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
if it comes off doing a roll, you can use it.
All right. Very cool.
But usually, the ref will be there anyway. By the time he starts seeing the belt come off, he's snatching and throw it across the room anyway, so you don't get a chance to.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of coming off, that reminds me one thing that did happen at the last tournament. And I didn't mean to hurt the guy or I didn't want to win this way, but my first match in gi, I was competing against this guy and we were fighting for grips and we were fighting for takedowns. And the one thing I hate about IBJJF rules is like we were actively working for takedowns really hard. We were trying to take each other down. And and for 30 seconds we couldn't get each other down, but we were really like changing grips and moving around and trying to like judo toss each other and like get wrestling takedowns. And the ref twice gave us penalties, like disadvantages. And it's stupid because the rules, and I think in IBJJF is like somebody has to go to the ground within 30 seconds. And it's just dumb because like, what do you have to like? Somebody has to pull guard then because you have two guys that don't want to concede the guard pull or concede top control or bottom position, right? So it's kind of a dumb rule. I don't like it. And the guy, it never went further than that because after our second warning, we were grip fighting, and I like to do this grip break that I've seen a couple times in from some high level competitors. But if somebody has like your sleeve grip and they have it real tight, I like to bring my knee up and pry it off with my knee.
yeah.
If you're flexible, you can bring your leg up and just like use your knee to pry it off as a grip, a vice. And so when I did that, I think it also tugged on his shoulder, and I actually pulled his arm out of his shoulder socket, and he ended up like he was in a lot of pain and he couldn't continue the match. So the ref just told him to sit down. The paramedics came and they started trying to pop his arm back into the socket. And yeah, I just said I'm sorry, and I told him like I hope he's better and stuff like that. And it sucks that it happened and everything, but my friend, I told my friend, he was making me laugh because do you like Star Wars at all? I'm kind of a nerd.
Well, I'm saying you can't really see it, but I got like a couple of figures over there, like.
Okay, yeah, I see him.
Guys over there.
Nice. I see the Batman, Michael Keaton bat signal logo and everything. That's cool.
I just painted that. Just finished painting that.
Beautiful.
A few days ago.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a huge nerd and I love Star Wars and stuff too. But my friend, he just called me. He's like, whoa, and I'm like, why are you doing that? And he's like, remember the part where Chewbacca's playing that chess game, and they're like, let the Wookiee win, and they're like, why? And he's like, because droids don't pull arms out of the sockets when they lose. So I was just like, true, good point. So he started calling me Chewbacca. That's funny.
Wow, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah, man.
I had this funny story just made me think about it. At my last tournament, one of our white belts competed, and he had a couple of his friends there to come support him. So we walk up, he introduced us, he's like, yeah, this is blah 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 blah. and we're talking, and he's like, "Hey, were you? So I heard Matt got choked out the other day. Someone just put him to sleep. Were you there?" I was like, "Yeah, I was there." And he's like, "Man, that had to be crazy to see." I was like, "I was the one who did it." He was like, "Oh." It's like he's a tough guy, and like we will work a technique and he'll just go, so it just turns into a roll. So I caught him in a triangle. Didn't know I had it locked up because the way he shifted, I thought he was going to get out, but he stood up and then he just fell over out. And I'm like, "Are you all right?" He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, "You sure you were out?" He was like, "I was." I was like, "Yes, your head bounced off the mats, dude. Like if I didn't have control of you, it would have been terrible." But it was just so funny because they was like, "Yeah, man, I heard he got choked out." I was like, "Yeah, I'm the one who did it."
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good guy though. Good guy.
Have you ever been choked out?
Yes. No, almost. Almost. I got to the point where everything started to that blanket started to go over your face and everything started to quiet down. So I was like, "Oh yeah, no, this is bad. Let me
Let me tap. Let me tap 1 second. Let me tap 1 time.
He was like, I was like, "I might be able to fight out." And the guy, this was at my first tournament.
Oh wow.
He went for takedown, got head and arm, and I thought I had my arm up high enough to kind of block it. So I was like, "Oh, okay, I got a little bit of room." And I tried to shift my weight, and he just turned, and everything just said, "Whoo." I was like, "Yeah, no, go ahead and let that go, brother."
Yeah.
Yeah, been close, but never been out. So.
Yeah. I've been put out, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
One of them was like 2 weeks ago. It was just after the tournament. I was rolling out of town with some friends in another gym. Really good group of guys. There was like nothing bad. There was nothing wrong. But there was a young kid who was a really good wrestler, really athletic, and he caught the tightest guillotine I've ever been in on me. And usually I'm really good at fighting a guillotine, or at least like I know how much time I have to try to like pass the guard so I can kind of cut the angle and get the side control so that it becomes looser and weaker and I'm not in a bad place. And I kept trying to pass his leg and he had it really tight and I was going red, and I could feel that I was like it was getting close, but I'm just like, I've been in much worse spots. I've got time. And I kept trying to pass his leg, and then I got one leg over, so I got kind of in half guard, and then I was trying to like kind of knee cut and get through so I can get into side control, and then I was just like working with it, and it was getting tighter and tighter. I'm just like, okay, I got probably about 5 more seconds, and then I'm gonna either have to tap or like I need to really get into this. I need to get past his guard here, and then I really went for it, and I feel like I passed, but then I think he made some sort of adjustment, and then that was the last thing I remember. The next thing I woke up, I was on all fours, just like this. Like, just say like there's a camera that like you are the floor looking at me. I was just like, like my whole head was tingling and my arms were tingling. I was just like, what the fuck happened? And then he's just like, "Are you okay? Are you?" He was like just like holding me. He's like, "Are you okay, man?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, did I just go out?" And he's just like, "Yeah, man, you were like snoring like," and I was just like, "Wow." I'm like, "Yeah, man." I told him, I'm like, "Really good job. I did not respect that nearly enough. Fucking wicked job." So I just gave him props and took 10, 15 seconds to just chill, and then we rolled again. But yeah, he caught me legit. So it just goes to show you got to respect the choke sometimes, and when you're close, like you can't push it too much. I try to push it a little bit because you need to know your limits. Most of the time when I do push it, I have a really good gauge of like how much time I have left, and I usually end up finding a way out. I have really good survivability. I pride myself on that. Like I might not like submit up like some of the browns and the blacks, but like I'm really good at like finding a way to not get submitted or at least trying to survive, which I think is really important, especially at white belt. It's important. But yeah, I did not respect it, and I went out, so that was exciting.
I had a guy a few years back. I think I was we both blue belts, or I think I was blue and he was still white. But anyway, we were working bread cutter,
Hmm.
and just setting it up, and I go for it, and I was still kind of like hesitant because I'm like I don't want to choke nobody out. So he's like, just go for it, bro. You got it. Da, 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 da. That's the only way you're gonna get better. So I'm like, fine, whatever. So practicing in it, and I'm like, I just can't seem to get it. And I was like, my instructor was like, make sure when you keep your shoulder down, but turn your wrist out like you're trying to look at your watch. So boom, I go for it, and I feel his body like tense up,
Hmm.
and then he slowly started to relax, and I
Just like
looked over,
melted.
his eyes glossed over, he's just like staring into space. I let go. I'm like, you all right? He's just like what
Yeah.
happened? I'm like,
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean what happened? Like, you were out. He's like, oh, I was just trying to see how long I can go. I was like, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Better warn me.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that.
It doesn't feel. I'll be honest. It doesn't feel that bad. It's not like super uncomfortable or there's no pain. It just feels like it feels like you just had a power nap. Like you just,
Yeah.
like when you're really tired in the summer, it's beautiful day outside, the birds are chirping, but you're exhausted, and then you lay down for 1 hour and you get up, like it was like the best sleep you've ever had. Have you ever had anything like that? Yeah,
When you just quickly doze off, like, oh.
and you're just like, whoa, and you're like, oh, I feel like a new person. Yeah, it's relaxing. It's like just basically like a little power nap, and then you just kind of forget what happened. So you know what? Speaking of like catching it on guys, the one thing, I don't mean to. I'm not like trying to choke guys out ever, even though they'll probably laugh and say, yeah, whatever, Brian. But I the one submission I am really good at that I go for quite a bit when I get the chance. It's the one that has put out two or three guys. One of them recently at our gym is when guys are on when guys are mounted on me and I'm in mount, or so even sometimes in side control. When I'm in side control, I kind of start setting up. I get an inside grip on the collar, and then I grab the other one. And a lot of people know where I'm going with this. I let them mount, and then I turn in for the baseball
Turn
choke.
to that baseball choke.
So it's a sacrifice baseball choke because I let them mount because they think that
Mm-hmm.
they're safe because they don't feel anything with like they don't think that that's a threat, and then as soon as they mount, I turn in a really hard, really fast. And the reason why guys get choked out on this one is not necessarily because it's like any stronger or tighter or better or technical more effective anything. It's a total ego choke because you just mounted a guy, and there's no and all of a sudden you went from like dominating and into like a really um dominant position to like being in absolute danger and on the verge of needing to tap, and like your brain almost can't compute. You're like, this doesn't make any sense. I just got mount. Why am I about to die? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why am I like close to tapping all of a sudden? So it's almost like subconsciously your brain's just like, oh no, I just got mount. I can't tap right away. I earned mount, and now like I have to at least fight this off. And it's such a tight choke, and it's such a
Yeah.
fast choke that comes on so quick and sneaky that like guys just like they don't tap fast enough to it. And
You can't.
yeah,
You
and if you
can't.
roll really hard, it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And the only thing to do is either tap or get out of mount and roll with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let the guy sweep you. Which is I used that in competition. I landed on a guy. He didn't like it, so I swept him. Like he rolled out of it, and I ended up getting on top. But I figured that out. I know like it's not that the guy that I'm talking about invented it or anything, but I when I was a white belt, I saw one of my blue belt like training partners or buddies catch it like 7 times in competition, and I'm just like, that's really effective. He just kept surprising everybody with it, and he would just let them mount. Like he would give them mounts, and then he would just go
Mm-hmm.
and turn in real hard, and he tapped out everybody with it. So when I saw that, I'm just like, wow, I'm gonna incorporate that.
I haven't used it. I haven't used that in a while, and I think it's about time to
Yo,
See if I can
dust
catch
that
somebody with
bitch
that.
off and bring it back.
Man, cause that's like one of my instructor's favorite chokes
Yeah, is
is
it?
that baseball. Like he'll let somebody play in his guard. He'll set it up and he'll lazily like lay that leg down to make like, oh yeah, open guard. Go ahead and hop pass because everyone wants to jump out of guard. As soon as he jump, he just turns and it's just like not a little side. He's coming all the way around where his back is on your chest, and I'm like,
Oh, it gets so tight. Yeah.
so
And
tight, so quick.
I even, I got so good at it, I started actually implementing the no-gi baseball choke. When I'm doing no-gi and I'm in like side control, sometimes when I'm just kind of sitting there for a while, I start like setting up I have the kind of like the cross face or this arm around the head, and then I set
Mm-hmm.
this up on the neck, and then I kind of grip them together, and
Yep,
I
your
vice
fingers
grip the neck
together.
together, and then I just turn in, and I get that a lot too. No-gi baseball choke. They can get out of it if they do the right thing, but like guys who don't know the defense to it, it's like choke and neck crank. It's not nice.
Yeah,
And if you can get it
not
real
nice.
tight and lean away so that you get really deep, the arm deep into the neck, it's really tight. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nice. It's
baseball chokes are
effective.
nice.
Yeah, I like them a lot for sure.
Like he works. Man, I've seen him baseball choke like Serenagi someone,
Mm.
and it was just like, holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Like why? But
What's I was gonna ask you what's some of like your A game stuff? What's like what are some sequences that you think are like your go-tos, or maybe not even your go-tos, but like your highest level technique that gives like maybe like black belts problems and gives a lot of other people's problems?
um I haven't been able to land this on my instructor yet. But I have a high percentage with um like this back take from bottom half. So
Mm-hmm.
they got you in half guard, and whatever leg you have, like you figure for that leg, and on that same side, if you can work to get an arm drag, you can easily slide out the back, take the
Right,
back, or
right.
you
That
can set
or
up for
underhook.
a underhook, yeah, or you can set up for a gift wrap sweep or even a head and arm choke from there, or
Mm,
the head and arm sweep. If you get them, obviously when you get the head and arm choke, they want to try to pull back, so you just bridge and roll with them.
mm.
So that's been kind of kind of like one of my go-tos, because everybody kept shutting down my scissor sweep because I would hit it so much. So I was like, okay, I got to think of something else.
With
But
your scissor, do you just go collar sleeve and then scissor kind of thing?
um, no, because my instructor, he's like, when we get to like a certain rank, he expect a little bit more out of like certain techniques. So
Hmm.
being in that brown on the way to black, he's like, okay, you're at the point where everything that you're setting up, you want to make your opponent feel like it was their idea to give it to you.
Hmm.
So because if we're rolling, if I grab your wrist and grab a lapel, you kind of know, you have an idea that I'm going for some type of sweep, so you kind of
Mm,
prepare yourself for that.
hmm.
So we just get into the habit of let that be in the last thing I touch.
Mm,
So like it's just saying, if they're playing in my guard, they're playing close, I'll maybe try to snake out a little bit, maybe threaten to choke just for them to sit up, and once they go to sit up, that's when I'll break the break break their base, sweep, and go, from there. Just try to
That
make it a little less predictable.
that's a really cool philosophy. I like that. Like convince them that it was their idea almost. It's almost like you're railroading them. It's like you're eliminating options so that they think that this one that you've provided them with is the good idea, and then they go to
Yeah.
do it, and then you're like, that's what I wanted. And then you
Yeah,
just,
and
what I
that's
mean?
exactly
Yeah.
and that's exactly what it is.
Right.
Because the best way we he explained it, we break it down is like, yeah, that you're, as a white belt, it's just survival. Your job is to survive. Like if you're rolling with anybody higher than you,
Mm,
you survive, you won.
mm.
You know, blue belt is kind of like when you starting to like walk in jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
or crawl in jiu-jitsu, pretty much. Like, you don't necessarily know a lot of stuff, but you can kind of throw some stuff up there and hope for the best.
I like to call it speaking the language. Like you're starting to
Yeah,
get a couple sentences strung together and you can get
yeah,
around. You know what I mean? Because
right,
like you're speaking the language, you know the flow of it, the movements, all that kind of stuff, right?
right.
Yeah.
And then like purple is just kind of like putting it together, developing, and then like brown is like just that refinement. Just
Mm.
whatever you're learning and whatever you got, whatever your game is, refine it.
Refining the
And then that
details, fine
find the
details.
details. And then black belt is when jujitsu starts. But yeah, you
Mm.
get into the mindset of like you roll with somebody and you know what they're going to do because you're making them do it, and you can set in their face like, oh yeah, this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then you sweep them, you submit them, and they're looking like, what the hell just happened?
Mm.
Like, yeah, I put my leg down for you to step over, and now you got choked.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, that's our philosophy. Like, just if I'm going for, like, for example, if I'm going for a choke, I'm not going to touch your neck.
Mm.
I'm going to, mess with your arms, just those different types of distractions. And once you're focused on that, boom, I go for my choke. Or
Right, right,
vice
right.
versa. If I'm going for a sweep, I'll threaten to choke.
Right,
You
right,
can't
right.
attack and defend at the same time.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So
So you're trying to mess them up and just kind of play with their mind and give them a lot to think about and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Even
Yeah.
if it's something that I know I can't get, I'll
Mm.
threaten a weird Kimura from an awkward position, or
Sure.
act like I'm going for a choke, and I was just to see
Yeah.
what your
Even
reaction
when
is.
I've got the back and they won't give me the neck and stuff like that, sometimes I go for a wrist lock just to mess them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I'll go for a wrist lock, so it's like, oh shit, and then I'm like, oh, now all of a sudden I got the neck. You know what I mean?
right.
Like little things like that. So
Yeah, if I got that arm across the neck, and if I got their back, I may be able to finish a one arm choke, but it's not likely.
right.
But I'll squeeze just a little bit with my shoulder and my arm just to
Yeah.
get them to move and react to it. So
I've been letting the one arm choke lately because I've been watching the way Gordon Ryan does it, and a lot of the high level guys. They really, really, really. If you have long enough arms, it helps especially. But if you really cup the shoulder blade, you can, and then you go like this, you can really get a lot of torque
yeah,
with one arm. If you like really, really dig it in there, and then just kind of pull like this, it gets like you can get some decent strength on it for
yeah,
sure.
I'll swim it in, and I'll walk my fingers, and I'm like pulling my own gi just to get
Yeah,
that grip.
yeah,
And
yeah, for
oh
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, totally. And a lot of even white belts too. Like I do try to let guys play sometimes when they're like newer or lower level, but like
hmm,
a lot of white belts, I try to show them that like just because they're defending doesn't mean that they still can't be submitted there. So I don't try to be mean, but if they don't give me the neck, sometimes I'll go across the chin and I'll still sink in the choke, and I'll just go like this, pressure on the chin slowly until they tap, and they're like, "Man, I didn't even know you could get the tap there." I'm like, you can. If you want to crush somebody's face in a tournament, you can do it, man. And it's
yeah.
legal. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not mean. So it's not fun, but it's legal. So
Yeah, and that's where we play. Like, I love my rear neck choke, but yeah, if we come across that jawline,
mm,
I'm gonna lock it in.
yeah,
You're gonna try to pull up and you're gonna give me your neck, or you're gonna
mm,
pull down and get choked.
yeah,
Your
totally.
choice.
Yeah, for sure.
Your choice.
Yeah. One of my highest level things is I don't have a lot of like I'm good at a lot of little different things, or like I'm
Mhm.
just kind of I wouldn't say good. Sorry, I'm mediocre to average at best at a lot of little different things. I'm a
Right.
pretty I try to be technical, but I think the thing that I do that gives the higher belts the most problems. And it started off as a bad habit that I would do just to stall. And now I've gotten so good at it that I'm starting to find ways to turn it into sweeps and submissions and little problematic things. Is
Mhm.
I don't know why, but I do lockdown a lot. So
Yeah.
when I'm in kind of knee shield and stuff like that, and somebody's kind of passing, instead of like kind of triangling the legs, I'll get my far leg in, and then I'll lock down that leg, and
Yeah.
my lockdown is so tight, like I give problems to all the high belts at my gym with it, um, and I can't always do stuff to them with it, but I can stall or control them for a long period of time, and I like it because it gives me time to think with a higher belt,
Yep.
like what do I want to do next? And then with lower belts, sometimes they often sometimes make the mistakes that I want, which is like if I have lockdown on the one leg and then they kind of bring the other leg close enough, I can scoop it up and then get. Do you know what electric chair is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like scoop the other leg up onto my shoulder. So now I have lockdown and the other chair, and I can the other leg, and I can either stretch out their groin so that it's an electric chair submission, or which I got on two guys in the tournament, or and this happened in the tournament too. If they're too flexible in the groin, like for whatever reason they're not tapping, you can keep rotating with it and turn it
Keep rolling.
into
Yep.
the electric chair sweep, right? And I get that a lot too. So yeah, I don't know why, but lockdown is like a big one for me. I can get it from everywhere, from weird angles, and I can keep it tight. And guys have a hard time getting rid of it. It's only high level guys who know how to like stuff it and really get rid of it. But I'm getting better and better with it. So
yeah, I love using lockdown because it's just if I can slow you down just a little bit, just give me time. Just give me time to think. That's all.
Totally, I agree. Yeah.
For sure, man. For sure. So I call it our Talk Your Jits podcast question. Who are the top 3 people you would like to roll with?
Who?
If you get a chance, who's your top 3?
Hodger Gracie.
Mm-hmm.
Hodger Gracie. This one might be weird, but Damian Maya.
Yep, he's on my list. He's on my list.
Nice. Hodger Gracie is my favorite gi competitor of all time, which is a standard thing because he's the best gi competitor of all time. You know what? There's so many people I could say. Like I would want to say like Marcelo Garcia, or even like I don't know. There's a lot of guys. Even Nicholas Marigali is really good right now in gi, and I would want to roll with him. But I know it's going to be a whack. Like people are going to be like, whatever, bro. I kind of would like to roll with Eddie Bravo. I kind of like his system, and I kind of like his creativity, and I think that would be a lot of fun. I think rolling with Eddie Bravo would be cool. Hickson Gracie would be another one. I'd love to go with, but Roger Gracie is my Gracie choice, and and then Damian Maya. I just like his MMA style, and I think he's got really good, amazing jiu-jitsu. But then my creative choice would definitely be like Eddie Bravo. I love some of his stuff. I think it's cool, and I think he gets a bad rap for being a conspiracy theorist type person and his personality type, but his jiu-jitsu, you can't knock that he like revolutionized a lot of cool ideas, and I honestly think a lot of the stuff that he does and came up with or like pushed forward could work at higher levels. I just think a lot of guys don't do it, but I don't know. I think he's creative, and I love a lot of stuff about 10th Planet. Like I watch. Do you know Brandon? I don't know how to say his last name, but Brandon McEachran or something like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So I've talked to him. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I love watching his videos. He does a lot of cool stuff, and it really works well with my lockdown and a couple things I like to do. And I do have pretty flexible legs, so I'm kind of really open to doing some mission control type stuff. So I like that system. I would be interested in that. That would be my top 3: Hodger Gracie, Damian Maya, Eddie Bravo. Nice and easy.
Yeah, I actually messaged him about being a guest on the show, but he's obviously so busy.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I was shooting for everybody, man. Whoever I could get to see want to be on the show, but
bro,
because you never know, you never know, right?
You miss like you don't score like what was it?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't
take. There you go. That's the one. I love that quote, man. And it's the same thing, hands in hand. Like closed mouths don't get fed. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't say something, nothing's gonna happen. Right?
Yeah, I mean, because I was just scrolling through Instagram, and I was like, you know what? I've watched a lot of his videos on YouTube, watched him on Instagram and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I just shot him a message. Boom. I was like, hey, this is XYZ, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't expecting him to respond, but he was like, yeah, I'll check it out. Sure. If I have time, blah, blah, blah. So I sent him, I don't know if he listened, but I'm gonna say he did. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I sent him the podcast, and I was like, whenever you get free time, and I'll, check back eventually. But yeah,
I think that's the one thing you'll find, man, is so many people, especially when you're in the community, they're really humble, really nice guys. I think jujitsu is one of those things, man, that like, yeah, you're gonna get piece of shit people sometimes that end up going up to black belt, but for the
Mhm.
majority of people who do jujitsu and end up getting up to the level of black belt, I think the ego and the asshole and all that stuff has been beat out of them. I honestly
Yeah,
really do. I don't think you can be at that level and be a piece of garbage human being. You know what I mean?
that doesn't mesh well at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't flow, and people will know. You know,
Yeah,
like
for sure, for
it'll
sure, for
be
sure.
it'll go around in the community. You know, so
Because
yeah.
from the all the episodes I've done with black belts, I'm talking 3 stripe, 4 stripe, black belts. People who's been doing this for a long time, and they're just as giddy and excited as a white belt being on the show.
Hmm.
Like you think these people who've been doing this for so long, they've talked about it enough, or but those be the main ones. Yeah, man, I'll do your show, man. I'd love to.
Hmm.
I was like, all right,
Nice,
so yeah, so
nice.
I've had a lot of upper rank, like high rank people on the show, and the vast knowledge that they've shared, and it's been fun, man. It's been really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's nice to hear, man. And I do really think that jujitsu kind of changes people's lives, and I'm proud of the jujitsu community for the most part, and I think it's composed of majority good people who are, it takes a special kind of person to keep going to that gym and taking that kind of punishment and going through that grind. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And I think that most of our problems in the world, like, listen, guaranteed I've been on the mats with guys that like I probably disagree with completely politically or for so many different things, you know what I mean? And so the fact that we can all go there and there's like a lawyer over there and a real estate agent and a musician and a DJ and you know what I mean, and this and that, and we're all the same, we're all equal on the mats, we're all even.
Yeah,
And I like that. And um yeah, I think doing jujitsu kind of makes all the other problems kind of feel a little bit smaller, you know what I mean? So
definitely.
yeah.
Even for those couple hours you're training, man, that it helps. It helps a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. I love it. It's like my therapy, to be honest with you. Like when I
Oh, it
go,
is
it
for
makes
sure.
the rest of the day easier. Like doing jujitsu, I like to do. We have a noon class, and that's my favorite time to go. Is like do the noon class. My schedule is pretty open. I work mostly on the weekends, so I do the noon class, and then that's the start to my day. The rest of my day is like nice and easy after that, and it sets me up nicely for the rest of the day, and feels good.
Yeah,
So,
we were doing 6 a.m. classes for a while,
mm,
Wednesday and Fridays,
yeah,
and that was the best class, man. It's
yeah,
because it was just 90% of the time it's me and my instructor, or it was one other guy that showed up. But yeah, man, just to go in, get some good rolls in, break down some techniques and start the day off, man. I used to love it, man.
nice.
So
Yeah, yeah.
eventually, I mean, hopefully one day we'll bring back morning classes, but he's super busy, and it was like it's just me and you. I just saw you like 3 hours ago. So like no, we'll just worry about we'll just see you tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, man. Is there anything else you got going on, man? If you got any more questions, I know definitely want you to shout out your school. I know you said you're competing. Yeah, man, the floor is still all yours.
Nice. Yeah, no, we didn't get any time to talk about it because it's mostly a jiu-jitsu podcast, but when I'm not doing jiu-jitsu, I'm pretty much a full-time musician,
Yeah, that's right.
DJ,
Yep.
and I do acting in between as well, voice acting and all sorts of
Okay.
little stuff. So, yeah, if anybody ever wants to see my work, whether it's music, acting, whatever, but mostly my music stuff, they can go to my website, which is bryanfontez.com. And I've got any music releases I've ever done there. I was in a band for 10 years, and all of our albums are on there. They're all on Spotify, and yeah, and that's pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else. I think we covered pretty much all the jiu-jitsu stuff that I wanted to talk about. So just wanted to say, if you're ever across the board and you're ever near Toronto, feel free to come to Jocelyn's, man. You're more than welcome. We'd love to have you here. And I hope you do well at your April 1st tournament, my friend.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I don't know. It's just like every time I hear about a tournament, and it's like I just get so antsy because I'm like, yeah, come on. So I'm excited. I'm gonna go out there and have fun, and we'll go see what happens, right?
Amazing, brother. That's
All right.
awesome.
Yeah, that's the end of today's episode. I would like to thank Brian one more time for coming on and sharing his tales and wisdom with us. Please go and follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live Jiu-Jitsu. Have a great day. All right, my brother.